Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just got a couple things. The first thing is, I'll let our attorney, Jason, know. I've been in contact with the residents of Barringham Seasons about getting some pictures, some documents, and hopefully by Wednesday night, Thursday, I'll be able to give you what they got, so we can look at it and proceed with what we've been talking about, sir. Second thing I have is I'd like to, last meeting I brought up about our Lyat property with parking for the upcoming horse show with towing. I'd like to see where we stand on I think with our UDOs or whatnot, we talked how we could tow people.
We don't have any ordinance or anything, and it's not more for, no parking or anything for towing at this time.
So if they park on our property, we can't tow them?
As of right now, no. The police department can request it.
Can we contact a private tow company and say if you park on our property, you will be towed, chief?
You do have to post up signs, there would have to be signs posted, the phone number for the tow company that's contracted, those things are in the beginning when it's about towing in the county.
And you said we don't currently have an ordinance for that?
We have an ordinance that governs like the towing like that, but we don't have anything specifically for that property that says, there's no parking except, with approval by the town, that authorizes, just towing without parking.
Even though it's town-owned, so any of our town-owned properties, if someone parks, say, overnight, and we know that they're not a town of Troutman employee, we can't tow their vehicle.
There has to be posted that, unauthorized vehicles be towed at owner's expense by, this towing company with their phone number. That's, in the ordinance for towing for the town. So that businesses, like for instance, Dollar General does that. So they have signs posted on who towing is and notifying that, for customers only. So that, the people would know, if I park here and get towed, here's who I contact, and I can't park here unless I'm a customer.
I think that's, I guess it would be the same, as to your point, if they were parking, in any of our
Here.
parking lots, right here. We don't have a no parking. And it's something, again, for council to consider in terms of, future, ordinance, no overnight parking, or how you wanna, kind of word that. I guess you could say that there was an event in the park that was not sponsored by the town, that folks use that parking. Then we have to really talk about. And I assume they're trying to use it for overflow, I guess that's the question.
I mean, it's all, what I'm stating is, it's all property, okay? And the other day, there was a tractor and trailer parked on that little area where supposedly the sewer pipes are, where they're concerned about weight, that was there. I'm not saying we're gonna tow a tractor and trailer, but this upcoming horse show, unless we put some barriers or chains or, it's gonna just be overrun.
In the police department, we could put barricades after the trips to block it off.
Like there's a chain now going into the fairgrounds.
Right.
If you make that left, but I don't think that's that's leading to our property. I'm not actually talking about the Lyat, that's that little, as
Well,
the grassy
You're
knoll.
talking about the
maintaining that chain that's there now? Is the fairgrounds? Because evidently,
At the
not
Live
evidently,
At
the
the
chain.
Live property or the?
No, that little area that we own, where the sewer pipes are evident, well, okay? There was a tractor and trailer with the chain down the other day.
The chain there?
And that's not something I'm.
There is a chain from the entrance, once you pull
Yeah.
into, there's a chain there. The reason we kinda stopped the discussion on it is because the county's still mowing that for us until we came up with a plan on how we were gonna, so if we changed that, they wouldn't be able to access it to mow it. So, I think we were gonna try to figure out what our plans were on how we were gonna, I think there was a plan to maybe put something back to where that parking easement was, and then, I think that's where we stopped with the discussion, yeah.
To address Eddie's other concern, property in general, and yours too, Mayor, I would suggest that perhaps a broad ordinance that wherever posted by the town, that, specifies no parking or no overnight parking, or whatever the instructions of the sign are, be enforced, as opposed to individual ordinances or resolutions of individual property owners, just wherever posted by the town on town property, and whatever signs instructions are.
And do something, that's something you could bring back to council.
Probably just be a quick amendment in the code of ordinances under the parking section. I don't think it would be a heavy lift.
The horse show happens before the next council meeting.
Which happens, they come here the Wednesday before Thanksgiving this year. So we already have, we have a plan, place for things, to the parking lots we have had. We were able to, during the Easter, the one around Easter, we were able to prevent those.
The one I'm most concerned is, as Eddie pointed out, is the one that the sewer lines, at least, somehow you can block that off, cones or what have you, to prevent at least that, till this other can be addressed.
We can do something with that. We know some parks and rec, kids in there comes to clearing out.
And would that be feasible just to have, as I said, a broad ordinance, wherever it's posted, as I just described to the mayor, something of that nature? Does that sound reasonable to you?
I think that's the way to go. Good.
So did that answer their question in terms of the, I guess the sewer line and the Live property, I guess would be, barricaded off.
Yes, that would be great.
Any other councilman have any input here?
And my other thing is, I wanted to ask maybe Justin a question, or maybe Emily. With the LDC loan that we got to buy our property, originally, we were talking about including the Musco lighting, and now we're gonna have to put a separate proposal in. I think we have the funds, okay, to expedite or get the lighting started, so, I know it's almost a 4 to 6 month process to get these lights, and I'd like to see Emily's Parks and Rec be able to, by the spring, when the spring leagues start, she's got her lights. Do we need to act on how we can do that? Because by the time we get Musco going, it's gonna be January.
From a budget perspective,
Yes, sir, to your point, there is money set aside, for that we could use, and I was told by the LGC that we could, replenish our own funds with the loan monies that would come later on. They told me that would not be an issue.
Great. So we're in the process within the next couple of months, by say January, to get the lights going.
Yeah, we had posted the RFPs.
Oh, super.
So, I can't remember where we are in that process, but.
Gotcha.
Less than a week and a half. Week and a half out.
Excellent, thank you. Because I want to be able to see you have your lights
Thank you.
up in time for the spring leagues.
Thank you.
Other than that, happy Veterans Day. Thank you to all the veterans that have served and are serving now, and their families also. I know it's a big sacrifice. Thank you.
Mr. Jaroszewski?
last month, we've had a lot of great events. The Trails for Treats was an awesome turnout. Seemed to be a lot of vendors there, and definitely a lot of community members and engagement. It was great on behalf of the Parks and Rec Department. We do have 2 upcoming 5Ks, I believe, before our next council meeting, the Fall Frenzy 5K, and I think that's a new one. Is that right?
That's from the Crosby Scholars.
Yeah,
We're just
Crosby.
hosting it here.
Yep. That's on November 22nd, and then the Jingle Run 5K. It's always great to see all the costumes for the Christmas, get ready for the Christmas parade. And I think that's coming up too, December 6th, before our next council meeting as well. So any entrants that want to get into that, I recommend getting your application in and get a spot in the parade, and get your floats decorated and join the town in celebrating the Christmas season. And the tree lighting as well, that's coming up very soon.
December 1st.
Yeah, December 1st. So, other than that, the town's looking great. Proud of all employees and what they're doing to keep us in order in this time, season.
As usual, you two gentlemen did a great job of opening up the discussion, and I can only say kudos. And second, Eddie's statement of Happy Veterans Day. God bless all our veterans for their service, and those that have given the supreme sacrifice for their country and for our freedoms. And thank you all very much, those living and those that have passed on. That's no, sir.
Ms. Harris?
I have several quick items. I believe today, not I believe, but today is the 250th anniversary of the Marines. So happy anniversary to the Marines. And tomorrow, of course, like we can say for veterans, a happy Veterans Day on tomorrow. Thoughts and prayers go out to the cyclist who passed away yesterday in an accident here in Troutman. To their family, I don't know where the family is, but thoughts and prayers go out to them. I'm thankful to everyone who showed up for the Trails and Treats event. It was a lot of people. I had to leave because that night happened to be senior night for my child. So I had to leave and go make some memories with my own, but I wish I would have gotten to see all 2,000 plus people. But thank you to Emily and Amanda for putting that together. Amber.
That's
I
okay.
didn't say April.
You were there, yeah.
For putting that event together. It's well received and talked about all over town. So, and I'm sure all those people were not from Troutman, but glad to see so much exposure for our people. Thanks to everyone who came out to vote, and many apologies to those who came out and realized that they could not vote. That's not a Troutman thing. A lot of people were very upset that they could not vote. It is not a Troutman thing, but we did encourage people to go out and vote and mark when they can. One last thing that I have, one other thing is, I really saw it was on Facebook. Somebody was out at our basketball court in the video, and they're telling people, get your people out. It's getting cold now, but encouraging people to come out to our basketball courts and play. So that was just good to see, because someone was talking about back in their childhood days when they were out playing basketball, probably some fake made up goal or whatever. Now we have these basketball courts, and they were encouraging people to get out and play. So again, thanks to your team for getting all of that done. Is that on? Is my mouth not big enough? All right. Last thing is something, Mayor, I didn't really think about this. I've not talked to Mayor, I've not talked to Justin or anybody else. But I mentioned this a while back, was getting some type of urgent care or something here in Troutman. Or having Patel extend his hours or something. One of the things I was talking to one of my doctors about, she said that most people come into their office after 3 o'clock or later because of getting off work or somebody's waiting, somebody gets home. And here in Troutman, we have nothing. We either have to go to Mooresville or go to Statesville. But that's something I would love to see here in our town again, like some type of fast med or something. So that's something I've been
everybody would get that one. And, again, happy Veterans Day to, again, all of our veterans. I'm sure I say that, personally, really appreciate all the sacrifices that they did for us and our country. And we look forward to being able to celebrate them, tomorrow, going forward. Again, Colin, it's good. I appreciate, council's continued, service on the various committees, the time and commitment it takes to, again, continue to move our town forward. So, again, thank you for that. And my heart goes out to the family, as Ms. Harris mentioned, passing of the life of this lieutenant. Anytime we lose folks, it's not to go lightly, and we appreciate folks having sympathy and support for that family. Next is, ask Mr. Marty if there's anything from staff.
Yes, sir, I don't believe so.
We'll move into a discussion on street paving. Got Mr. Wall here.
Yes, sir, so he put together a good report, of our streets and their conditions. I believe we had previously spoke about it, maybe in some budget sessions and whatnot, but, we do have some available funding, in the budget as well as Cal bill funds to use for this. So, he would just like some guidance, or we would like some guidance on which way to go, as far as which streets to tackle first. So the reports were included in your packet, and, I'll let Austin give his, opinion as well.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, Council. So we do have multiple roads in here, that were, it's part of like 2022 street condition study we completed. And, these are in the 1 to 5 year replacement, so it's like 1 to 3 year replacements on now. But my two, after riding and looking at it, two that will be of concern would be Stringwood Road from Purge Road to Ashmore, and West Avenue down to Tally.
West Avenue, what was that?
From Downing Street to Tally, on West Avenue. Those are the most heavily trafficked areas. And it's got a description of it, the amount of footage and everything. So, we're gonna try to look at some rough quotes, kind of see what we're gonna come up with, and then see if we put it out to bids. Those are my suggestions. We also have Ireland Avenue that's on here as well. It is only has a few, yeah, I don't have to put that in there. It has a few residents. Is it on there? I didn't go on the page. But it has just, one residence, a couple of businesses, but the first 350 feet of it is tore through that. It's mainly because tractor trailers and concrete trucks come in and out of there, it's a concrete plant. So the last part of the road is in good shape, but it's just the first 350. So that would be a suggestion there. Is it graded properly? It probably is not.
Is that road a repaving, or does it need a new base because of the weight of the concrete?
It's gonna need,
structure on
it'll
it?
be a new base and,
So it's a tear up.
yeah, most of it, somewhat tore up, yes.
Does that need to be coordinated with the concrete plant and the?
We would have to, if that's the route we would go. So when that time comes, yes. we would
Because it can get dangerous at times with all the gravel all over the road because it's all tore up.
Correct. The only other thing I when you think of a puzzle, how it looks, that's kind of how the asphalt looks. So you can patch areas, the patch will most likely stay around this. That's similar to all these roads. The thing is, Briar Cliff, not sure why it's done, but it's very thin asphalt, 2 inches.
Is that what caused, when you think about streets, is that what caused the alligator crossing, that type of?
Yes, because Briar Cliff is, it's probably been, Nelson's Square. It's probably been 10, 13 years, so it shouldn't be as bad shape as it is. It's very thin asphalt, so it's
Is it about 2 inches, is that?
places we've had to patch, it's only about 2 inches. Very thin. But the reason I even mentioned Streamwood and West Avenue is mainly because they're somewhat heavy traffic. We've got more customers on and definitely more traffic.
For the West Avenue, how much of that, is part of the water line replacement that we had discussed?
They're doing those right now. There's about, I believe, 3 sections.
So by the time you're done doing that, it's gonna be even more spotty?
Well, depends on when it gets paid, but most likely we'll wait till they're finished.
Right. Yeah, well,
This is one of the first ones that we do.
okay. Just wanna make sure we're not
Yeah,
tearing
we
up
won't do
freshly
that.
paved to do, water line replacement or upgrades,
No. We don't want to do that.
like we did here at Wagner Street.
Dustin, you mentioned West Avenue, and obviously the speed tables, bumps. Of course, you're saying here West Avenue down to Downing, or, west, from Cali down to Downing. And of course, these humps up are there at Brown Street and west and so forth, so are we talking about maybe just doing the whole section of West Avenue from, Perth over, or Waco over to Cali, or? what do you
The
have?
Wagner side, we had some pretty big areas paved, and that side is not near as bad shape as Downing Street Home. I think money will come into play. if we do
Yeah, I was gonna say,
a higher stretch.
Austin and I talked about this a few weeks ago, we were both surprised. Obviously, the pricing can vary once we actually get real quotes, but, just a quick Google search on what it costs to pave a road just blew my mind. So, obviously, the whole list would be nice to just go ahead and knock it out. But that's why I asked him to identify the main needs, because from a budget perspective, this fiscal year, we have a little over $1 million we can spend, but that ain't gonna get too far.
That's not getting far. I remember that 2022 when things were even
Yeah.
cheaper during the pandemic.
Yeah.
It didn't go too far from what we had then with Todd and Benji worked up with this for us. But let me ask you then, so, talking speed
question for knowledge. Austin, is asphalt cheaper, like when it's warmer, or it doesn't really matter? Well, like cold
I
conditions?
don't know, I can't answer that, I'm not sure.
Okay, I just was
It's
wondering.
increasing, I do know that.
Right. No, because, you know, just driving around, or not in our town, but you see more asphalt paving of the roads in the warmer summer conditions than you do now to, say, the spring.
Right, that, I believe they do, I mean, the plants are typically they make different, different types, more coarse, but they do make more, it's more readily available in the summer months. We reach out to Navy, and, that's one of the places I'm going to get quotes from.
Got you. Well, thank you.
Do we need to do any maintenance at our lot here across the street that's covered in millings? Like, do any of those millings need to be dropped so we're not having to buy loads later?
As far as when they mill them up,
Yeah.
that's an idea for sure. To make the parking lot a little bit deeper.
Yeah. Well, or even, I don't know, the condition of it, right, but assessing that so that
Sure.
instead of paying to purchase millings, you know, we're just using the millings off our old roads.
Right. Any other questions for us? Sweet thing. Thank you. Next item is, hospice administration.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So if y'all remember, I think back in June, we briefly spoke about this. But we never made a decision as council. So I've got Mindy here, I believe. I didn't get to meet you, sorry, Mindy. But she's here to, give a presentation, and to explain this a little bit better than I can, so I'll turn it over to Mindy.
All right, great. There we go. My name is Mindy Rice. I'm the Director of Development and Marketing for Hospice and Palliative Care of Iredell County. I have worked with Hospice of Iredell for over 20 years. I'm also more than 20-year resident of Troutman, so Troutman's home for me. My kids went to school through all of our wonderful schools, and so very excited to be here. Thank you so much. And I have with me Leanne Darty. Leanne, also, I've worked with Leanne for over 20 years, and I'll let her do some introducing of all her accolades in just a minute here. But yeah, so we are Hospice and Palliative Care of Iredell County. We've been serving this community for over 40 years with hospice care and palliative care, but we also have community programs. And one of our largest community programs is called Rainbow Kids, and that is our pediatric, our child bereavement program, and as well as adult bereavement we also provide. What's really special about, and Leanne reminded me of this when we were walking in, what's really special about Troutman and Rainbow Kids is Troutman is the reason why Rainbow Kids even exists. So over 20 years ago, there was a child that went to South Iredell High School that died in a car accident. And the administration and the team over there called Leanne and her team and said, "You all are the experts in grief. We don't know what to do." turn it over to Leanne to really talk about why we do this, because that's really, really important. And,
Okay.
take it away.
All right, thanks, Mindy. It's good to see everyone. As Mindy mentioned, we are seeing now close to 800 kids a year. And when I say children, that's from kindergarten to seniors in high school. And often when we make that connection with someone maybe in high school, they come back and see us often if they're at college when they're on break. And it's over the kids that we see, over 50% have had a parent or sibling, but that doesn't include, we still see, grandparents, aunts, uncles, a friend, a teacher, all of that, so this is our blind, 1 in 10 children. And this is North Carolina stats, will experience the loss of a parent or sibling by the time they're 18. And if it's not addressed, it can get complicated. Complicated grief can impact a child's life way into the future till they have their own children. It really makes a difference. So early intervention is key. When we go into the schools, we have an evidence-based grief curriculum. We teach starting from week 1 to week 12. What is grief? We talk about the things that sometimes are very difficult to talk about. What is grief? What are your feelings? Tell us your story. And children connect. Can you imagine you're in 4th grade and your mom's died, and you meet another student and say, hey, my dad died. I thought I was the only one going through this. The number one feeling, we survey our kids when we start, is loneliness. They feel so lonely with what they're going through. So these grief groups, they connect once a week. They make sometimes they make lifelong friends, and they see they're not alone. So, and then we teach healthy ways to cope. Can you imagine, you're 5th, 6th middle school, and you're learning healthy ways to deal with your grief, stress, and anxiety. So we do these surveys. At the end of 12 weeks, over 90% of kids improve in either grades, attendance, and or behavior. So that's very important, and you can always come back to Rainbow Kids. The child might participate for a year, and then a couple years down the road, they're starting middle school, they're starting high school, and they're like, I'm gonna come back to group. It just keeps me sort of on the straight path. But we just found this statistic. We often say grief doesn't discriminate. Well, it does. This statistic's new to us this year, and it's certainly true in Rainbow Kids. Children under the age of 18 in low-income households are 114% more likely to experience a parent or sibling death compared to peers in higher income. This is important because everything we do in Rainbow Kids is at no cost. It doesn't cost to come to a grief group. It doesn't cost for us to work with the families. It doesn't cost for a child to come to individual counseling. And when we do individual counseling, maybe if we're not at that school this semester and something like a crisis like the gentleman died on the bicycle, maybe if we're not in that school right then they can come and see us until we can get them in school in January. Okay. So we've been dreaming. We've been dreaming now for a little over a year, and I mean dreaming big. We went, I made a friend at one of these child grief symposium workshops that Carly Runestad, and she's a guru in the country for childhood bereavement. And she told me a few years back that she built Morning Hope here at the top in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I was like fascinated by this children's grief center, and like, how did you do it? And she's like, you got to start with a big dream. Because I was like, we need this for our community. We're seeing all these children. And so then we went out
any update on where the library was, in the conversation?
I do not have one as far as, what exactly they use those funds for. I can tell you the breakdown just as a reminder. So obviously 50% just goes to the town's fund. But then we have 12.5% goes to Parks and Rec, 12.5 for ESC Park Fund, 12.5 Friends of the Library, and then 12.5 goes to, the schools divided amongst the board.
Well,
12.5 to Parks and Rec, 12.5 to the ESC Park Fund, 12.5% to Troutman Friends of the Library, and then 12.5, split amongst the 4 schools.
so any offer from council, considerations?
Justin, you know what, PBC board has been able to contribute to the town as, what's the feasibility, 30,000 a year? They got to be supplemented, other sources, or?
So it depends on how you want to do it. The town's portion, it runs about 45 or 50,000 a year. That goes into the general fund for the town. And then, of course, we have, approximately 12.5 goes to, the Parks and Rec fund. Then we have 12.5 range, whatever, goes to the ESC Park Fund. And then, police department gets their portion, by state statute. And then, Friends of the Library and schools get the remaining. From a budget standpoint, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the town. Obviously, it's y'all's decision, but I think it would be a great, investment for the town, to do the front porch and to, have the name right as you enter the building. And, the question is basically, can we afford that? And my answer would be yes. Whether you state, okay, I'm specifically taking ABC money that would come into the general fund, whether you state that, or just say, we're gonna use some of our tax revenue, or sales tax revenue to pay for this. Is that, up to you all, but.
I would agree with Justin. I think clearly it's something that, in police situations, we
most simple way would just be to take it from the general fund. Cause our budget around 45,000 a year, in general fund revenue from ABC money. And, so, usually it comes in around 45, 46, somewhere in that range, of the revenue we actually receive. So, most simple way would just be, just to take it out of that pot.
Now, I know you mentioned that a while ago, and then we talked less about that,
Right, oh,
I want to
yeah.
make sure we're still
Yes,
thinking
sir.
in those terms.
Yes, sir.
So none of the other beneficiaries
Right.
feel,
Yes.
correct?
Correct, yes, sir.
So is there a motion regarding this, request we can take tonight? Motion's on the floor that we support this, hospice donation, of 150K over a 5-year period. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made, second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you all. So the next item, continued discussion of 7.6 water and sewer. I'll turn it over to Andrew.
Yeah, this is just a continuation of the discussion on chapter 7.6 in the UDO. I just heard some comments about council's thoughts and put some language in red on your packet agenda. There's nothing scientific about any of this, just numbers I pulled out of the air, just something for you to all look at. I do think it's fair to say that Justin can probably concur, and especially Benji. We have been getting a lot of inquiries and pressure about larger lot subdivisions kind of on the outside of ETJ areas that do want to develop on septic systems. I just wanted to put that out there for council to know. We're talking about lots of acre, half acre to an acre, probably larger houses. Just a different market than we've been seeing with a lot of our conditional zonings. But did want to throw that out there for council. Got my language here in red if any of you all have any questions on it, any thoughts. Just wanted to kind of continue this conversation with some feedback from council before we move forward with an actual amendment.
Questions or comments?
how does your red text align with this concern?
It basically would eliminate this table pretty much, and it would align very well with what Mr. Hinkle just stated. I just had another thought, though, and I'm just throwing this out there. We do have a consultant coming in to do a master plan for utilities. Do you think maybe it would be wise to wait to amend this ordinance? No?
No.
Okay.
The last sentence here in red, all non-residential development in the ETJ requesting common water shall connect to an existing sewer line unless the extension of the sewer line is deemed unfeasible by the town engineer. So that is any commercial property, no matter the distance.
That's right.
As long as it's in the ETJ.
That's right. And I think there was concern about the way the table reads is it was by lot,
Yeah.
and this would eliminate any,
Separate residential and commercial.
that's right.
Okay.
Well, now, how does that stack up against our policy and ordinance that, you know, you need to be annexed if you're going to hook up to our utilities?
Oh, you still need to be annexed.
Yeah, ETJ, okay.
I think that's the point of clarification. So you're balancing folks who are in the ETJ who are asking to be annexed versus them saying, well, if I have to do this and it's not feasible according to this language, then I'll stay in the county. And so I think that's the balance where you lose those tax dollars altogether because they stay in the county versus saying, I can, you know, I'm within a certain feet, a existing sewer line, that, I'm outside that and I'll come into the town.
And that's why I put it in my statement, the viability of it, for our town engineer, and I understand there's exceptions to everything. I just, don't get carried away, I don't know how to put it.
And I think within ETJ properties, there are a lot more water lines that can serve those properties and sewer lines at this time.
Any other thoughts?
What table's called?
Yeah.
Well, I can move forward with what we have here, and obviously, we've got got to go before planning board, before it comes back to you, and you'll all have a chance to go through this a little bit more with a fine tooth before making a motion to amend the ordinance.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So we should see this on our December.
Yes, sir.
Next item, discuss STIP project, ATL dash 0134 intersection improvements. I'll turn it over to Andrew again.
Okay, I just kind of wanted to open this up for discussion with council because if you remember back in January of 2024, council approved a resolution to move forward to apply for a grant with CRTPO for intersection at Old Mountain, Murdoch, and Main Street up here. And as part of that agreement, the town agreed to a 35% match. The project was approximately $5.5 million with the contingencies that CARPO requires. So the town would be on the hook for about $2,000 with that match. It was my understanding that town manager Wyatt and Prestige were going to have a conversation and come up with a deal to maybe help us contribute to the match. I don't believe any kind of deal was ever made. And now with what's basically happened between Prestige, Wakefield, and the town, I have my doubts that any kind of deal will ever happen. So we have not spent a dime on this project yet, and it's about the time where we need to submit a contract to NCDOT saying, okay, move forward, let's do it. I just wanted to bring this up to council to make sure that is still I guess, the will of the council, being that we're most likely gonna be on the hook now for all that 35% of the funds of this project. And again, I don't think that you have to make a decision tonight, but I wanted to throw this out here that, if we do move forward, I mean, most likely we're not gonna come up with a deal with the developer at this time. So before we spend any of the town's money, I want you to think about that moving forward.
And what's your time?
I can probably Our project had a little bit more to it, a little bit more bicycle pedestrian side as well. But, you know, they still have to add some turn lanes up there and extend some turn lanes and whatnot, based on the TIA findings. And I can send all this to you guys on an email, just showing you the difference. But I wanted to at least plant that seed with you that, we're most likely not gonna get help funding this thing. And before we spend any money, I wanna make sure we're still good moving forward.
What amount of money are we talking about if we can't get the help that we were expecting?
Being that this stuff is always rising, but right now it's about 2 million.
It's a critical intersection.
So, is the concerns around receiving funding of developers because of the current situation going on? That's been, what, 4 years since the approval of that development, so have we done a new TIA?
No, TIA hasn't been, the TIA that was approved back in 2023 when the site plan was approved is what's in play.
Does that need to be updated with our new TIA agreement with Kimley Horn because of the, you know, it took them 3 years to close and start construction?
They did the TIA by the book at the time that they submitted their plans, so there's nothing we can force them to redo.
So it could cost way more than 2 million with the prices of today.
Yes, you know, every once in a while you get a dip, but that hasn't happened in a long time.
And Wakefield Prestige, maybe not at that Old Mountain Road, 21 intersection, is still gonna be required, according to the TIA, to do certain improvements out of their own pocket.
That's right.
Are any of those improvements, a signal for a crosswalk, because there's no button to push, there's no, I mean, there's a crosswalk painted, but there's no way to cross it safely without stepping out there and stopping traffic?
There isn't, no.
But that's included in our upgrades, right?
That's right.
I mean, I think that we still need to move forward with our commitment to improve the intersection. It's not gonna get cheaper in the future.
But I will say that we probably do have the option, working with DOT while Prestige is doing the updates that they're required to do, to contribute some town funding in order to get those crosswalks.
It's in our mobility plan,
It is.
right, so if DOT touches that,
They're supposed to.
then
yes.
we're in the clear.
Yeah.
We can have those discussions with DOT, so definitely.
Getting there here.
Yep.
That's the ticket.
But it's,
So directionally, council feels comfortable saying, hey, maybe move forward, working with DOT to ensure this continue to progress, knowing that we may be on full board.
Yeah, we have way too many kids go to that intersection.
Yeah.
Sit on
Yeah.
that.
That's why I was.
There are two places, that and down there at Houston Road, and those two, I hope I live long enough to see both of them taken care of.
Yeah, I mean, we have a greenway that crosses right there, and we have no safe crossings for our residents. You know, kids walking to school, my daughter's one of them.
Sure.
You know, she waits sometimes at that light for 20 minutes before somebody will let her cross even the, little wishbone right-hand turn off of Old Mountain.
Yep. Getting across main streets.
Are you good, Andrew?
So it sounds like, council wishes to move forward as the project is with the funding we have on it.
If we don't, how much is the life worth?
2 million?
And I would say pending further discussion, as you say, with the state, hopefully, you know, keep that, what we'll look for within reasonable bounds.
Sounds good.
And if we have some found money, we have found money.
Sounds good. Okay,
I
thank
mean,
you.
they took away our downtown redevelopment plan of the streets, right? Maybe they just put some of that monies over here to that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is overview of the council meeting for Thursday.
All right. So, consent agenda, several sets of minutes on there. Then item 7E, approval of resolution 4225 titled Resolution by the Town of Troutman adopting a water infrastructure asset management plan. I'm gonna turn that over to Benji, he's here to discuss, you guys.
Let me ask you a question. You're at 7 p.m. You're on 8 a.m. Was that correct?
I don't know.
All
real quick to give you an overview. You have the notebooks with all the data. Probably more important than that is that online is for Austin and all his staff is a interactive type GIS map that has all this information on it. They can just use right on their tablets and iPhones. So we'll get started. So again, it's a water distribution system, asset inventory and assessment. So the inventory side of it is basically getting a handle on what you own, what the town of Troutman owns that's in the ground. And then assessment is what's its current condition. All right, so we'll go to the next slide. So the project, of course, that long number at the top, that's a number that the state of North Carolina assigns. They're funding it. Then you have there what is included, creating an inventory, like I say, a database. Just that's what those most of what's in that book there is tables, Excel spreadsheet tables of every water line, every fire hydrant, every valve, every water meter, your tanks, your pump station, that's all in there. So those are your assets. They're all listed, have a unique number. And then second bullet point there, create accurate mapping, which is GPS based. So that was probably one of the biggest parts of what our company did, was we sent out a survey crew and actually put a GPS survey rod on top of every meter, every valve, every hydrant, so that it would be accurate, as accurate as possible. All right, then the condition assessment, so based on, so unlike sewer, with sewer, we try to actually camera a lot of the lines, not 100%, but most all of the clay pipe got cambered. With water, we don't do that. Obviously, you've got, it's drinking water, you don't want to put anything inside the pipes. So we're really just looking at history. How old is it? What type of material is it? What does Austin know from his experience where he's had water breaks? Those kind of things, to give a rating for each, like a block of West Avenue or wherever your water lines are. Is it from 1 to 5? Is it very poor, average, good, and very good? That's kind of 5 ratings. So each asset gets a rating. That's in those tables. And before I forget, so Austin Loney is here with me. He did a lot of this work, so he helped a lot, can help answer questions. So kind of to sum it all up, what's the purpose of all this? Is to develop a plan to identify your aging assets and reduce pressure loss, not just pressure loss, but like water leaks, just any kind of deficiency in your system. You're trying to look ahead to see what needs to be done in the future. All right, next slide. All right, so there's just a map just showing your current water system. And this study just focused on what you already have. This is not really about where you might expand, how you might get more, total capacity, those kinds of questions. My eyes aren't that good. I'm going to turn to this. So just going from the top there, so evaluation, condition assessment, and rating, or otherwise called prioritization of all system assets. So I pretty much touched on that. Then from that, we come up with asset improvement recommendations. So the idea is that because you've rated them all, then you could say anything that has a rating of 4 or 5, poor or very poor, those are what you probably need to look at replacing or at least addressing in some fashion in the next 5 to here shows the map, and this one's color coded to show those conditions 4 and 5, poor and very poor, in orange and red. And, so I've described in general terms, there it is, kind of summarized as far as on the left there, how many pipes, hydrants, meters, and so forth are in those conditions 4 and 5 and you need to think about replacing in the next 5 to 10 years. So the meters, I know Austin's already kind of planning on doing that. We had some funding set aside to do that, but that needed to get diverted to sewer, so, I guess you'll have to slow down a little bit on how fast you replace them. But that's part of what's in this report, is those oldest meters, because when meters get old, they get less accurate, then people are not paying their fair share if they got an older meter compared to somebody who has a newer meter. All right, we'll go to the next slide. And so the last 2 or 3 slides just gives you a snapshot of what's in all these tables and on the map, the online map. So you can just see there, it's got, you know, every asset has a number, it's got a general location, and then it's got what kind of material is it PVC, is it cast iron, is it ductile iron? And over here on the far right, if you see some red print, it says long-term or short-term rehab or replacement. That means it's on that list of the worst, they made the bad list, they need to be replaced in the next 5 to 10 years. At the bottom there is just a snapshot from the map. So the good thing about this map is, just like on your county GIS, so you can zoom in and out, see more detail, you can turn layers, you know, aerial imagery on or off, so it helps Austin and his crew have a better context. And he can click on any hydrant or pipe, and then that little piece right here, it brings up all these details, the location, the material, the age, and so forth. All right, the next slide. So same thing there, this is your, that last slide was what we call linear assets, the pipe under the ground. Here's vertical assets, would be things like valves and hydrants. So this is a hydrant. We go to the next slide. Here's a tank. And that might be the last slide. Is there one more? Nope. That's it, yeah. So you have two, this tank is not actually the town's, I think it used to be years ago. That's a fire storage, fire suppression tank. But the one on the left is the town's there on Old Murdoch Road, and of course your other one is on Houston Road. So that's it in a nutshell. Be happy to answer any questions. And what I guess would be on the consent agenda is, one is just acknowledging that we presented this to you, you have the information, it's complete. The other would be to actually adopt the asset management plan. So this is our plan going forward to take care of our water system.
Any questions for Benji? So Benji, a couple of questions. One is, on the capital improvement plan, the assumptions that we made, if we generally get those in today's dollars, is there a way to look at what the historical escalation costs have been over a period of time? And as a footnote, give future councils an opportunity to say, you know, based on today, prior escalation costs were, I don't know, 10% or 20% of what we see. So again, maybe it's not meaningful because they're just all over the board, but, you know, it's hard to, you look at a number that says 5 million today, 5 years from now, that could be 10 million. Right. It could double. So I mean.
Yeah, that's a very good question. We could add some verbiage in there about what
have a tank up there, what's the lifespan of a tank?
Well, so the companies that do sandblasting and painting and maintenance, they'll say, we can make them last forever.
Yeah.
And they're right. I mean,
Yeah.
really, you can, if you take good care of them. What, Austin, do you remember what the general rule of thumb is? Was it 70 years or 50 or?
I wanna say 50. I think it's kind of more or less based on the size of the water pipe going into it than the tank itself.
So, yeah, I think, Old Burdock Road is it 60s or 70s?
73.
73, right there, yep, okay. So that would be, it's going on well over 50 years. And, yeah, there's really no reason, like, we would not recommend you replace it. Really, you just wanna keep your maintenance up, which would include an inspection, annual inspection, wash it out, and definitely wanna repaint the outside roughly every 10 years or whenever it needs it. That's the key. It's steel, so it's very strong. It's never gonna get weaker as long as you don't let it corrode.
Any other questions? Thank you, Benji.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You stay right there, Benji, probably.
Okay.
Well, the next two items, we have, the water AIA, closing that out, or the final report. And then, the other one is, approval of amendment number 1 to the engineering services agreement for the 2022 wastewater capacity improvements project. I mean, I think both of those are simple things, but.
Yeah, so when I combine, what we just did was really combining the two items, the final report on the asset inventory and assessment study. And then the second is adoption of the asset management plan. So that was purpose of this presentation, is to address both of those items, but they are separate items to be voted on. As far as our amendment for the sewer contract, you want me to give a synopsis or just?
Yeah, just a quick.
Sure. All right, so, okay, keep it quick.
You already know it.
Yeah.
All right.
I just say that.
So West Consultants, you all, a couple years ago, had us do what we're calling the 2022 wastewater capacity improvements project. That includes replacing the sewer pump station on Westmoreland Road to double its capacity. It includes getting rid of the Quail Hollow sewer pump station and some other miscellaneous things. Here in the last few months, what has developed is that to continue to get the full capacity out of the new Westmoreland Road pump station, we can't keep discharging that to the same point in the Mooresville system. So since town council's already now committed to a new pump station on Shins Creek within the Shins Farms development, that has set in motion a new way to get sewer to Mooresville. To take advantage of that, we highly recommend that that we build a pipeline from the Westmoreland pump station over to Shins Creek so that all the sewer can be diverted through this new Shins Creek pump station, regional pump station. So this contract amendment would be for us to do the surveying, design, permitting for this alternate force main from the Westmoreland pump station.
Questions on that?
What's your timeline?
Well, yeah, we need to move fast, and so we would.
This is government,
Cause
we
that-
don't move fast.
Yeah, well, as fast as government can move, because the pump station's already under contract. They're starting construction. The pumps are being ordered, the generator. Now, you can still keep using the new pump station, using the old force main, but you'll never be able to put any more wastewater through it because of Mooresville's situation. So, yeah, to answer your question, you could delay, I guess, 6 months or something, and it wouldn't, maybe in the end, make that much difference. But we already have contractors lined up. Country Board Landscaping is the contractor for the pipeline over Quail pavement. So it makes sense for them to do this force main. So we would get them to price it, if the price is reasonable. But we have to design it first before they can price it.
presentation by the League of Municipalities in honor of the Town of Troutman Police Department. Then we have a report, ABC store, Herb Layton will be here giving that report. Then we have old business, item 10A, text amendment TA 2505, temporary signs to consider amending the Town of Troutman Unified Development Ordinance, section 6.4.5, temporary signs. Andrew is here, if you have any questions on that. All right. Next, new business. Consider the selection of an engineering firm for the wastewater master plan. The water sewer recommends we select Kimley Horn to move forward in planning this projects that Benji is speaking of. So that, again, will be an item under new business. Any questions on that? Next one, consider resolution 40-25, titled Resolution Accepting All Roads in Phase 2, 3, and 4 of Falls Cove, Lake Norman for Town of Troutman maintenance. Andrew's here with any questions?
Quick question. When contractors pave the roads, in our UDO, is there something that speaks to the depth of the manhole coverage?
I think that's all part of the, basically the construction manual. It's not part of the UDO, but it's a part of our construction standards.
Okay.
And that's all inspected and enforced by West Consultants.
Okay.
So when we get that letter from Todd with West Consultants, it means they've met everything basically to our ordinance.
I had a question on one of the streets, whether or not the manholes were so much lower than the street. And when you hit that manhole, you're kind of bouncing through the neighborhood.
And I can get some more information for you on that prior to Thursday.
Okay.
Next item is rezoning RZ 25-06, BBC Rock Creek. Request to rezone 19.511 acres. Again, Andrew is here. Anybody has questions on that?
Andrew, what, and going back to something I referred to earlier in the meeting, they're possibly going to be requesting doing their own septic tanks or neighborhood septic system, as well as maybe even going with well water, possibly, even though that's less likely than the wastewater.
I believe the intention with this request, if they do submit a subdivision plat, with the way they're requesting it, would be probably individual septic tanks with town water.
Wastewater, they do their own thing.
That's right.
Next item, annexation AX 25-09. Request to annex 1.24 acres. Pin numbers are there, located at 491 and 495 Perry Road. Any questions?
All this, I guess all the homes located in that area, all those annexed as well?
The majority of them are. This is a little piece, these are two properties, so you've got the two entrances into Norwood Walk.
Right.
So these are two of the three pieces that are between those two entrances. There's still one outstanding piece that has not applied for annexation. I know for a fact that neither of these properties would perk, so they obviously wanted the potential for the sewer.
Next is text amendment TA 25-06, parking quantities to amend section 5.3.5-A to set minimum parking quantity standards. Again, Andrew is here if anybody has any specific questions regarding that one.
Everybody get up and park. You know, we spent quite a bit of time.
Always up Thursday. Don't want it to be a short meeting.
Hopefully one of these months soon, well, it won't be Justin, it'll be somebody else who'll be saying that Andrew's here. Somebody else can take the meeting.
Andrew, can I make